one of the things you need to understand about the whole AI beast that's in the room, or the elephant in the room, is that it's an evolving piece, right?
Mhm.
And that elephant's growing exponentially on a daily basis, right?
Indeed.
I ran a workshop for recruiters back in December, just talking about with someone from Microsoft on board, but it was just about Copilot then. But Copilot now, today, is a different product to Copilot in December,
Amazing.
right? So that's how fast things move.
Welcome back to another episode of RecTalk. I'm your host, Nitin Sharma, founder and CEO of RecTools.io, which, if you don't know by now, is the only whole of market directory of all recruitment suppliers into your recruitment business or your talent acquisition team. So if you're looking for the obvious stuff, new CRM, new timesheet provider, maybe you're looking for a new payroll solution or an invoice financing company, you go to RecTools.io. Maybe you're looking for someone to build you a new website. Maybe you're looking for outsourcing of your marketing. Maybe you're looking for employer of records and you want to know about hiring staff offshore, you go to RecTools.io. Or maybe you're looking for consultancies, or maybe you're looking for somebody to come and help you with that one thing that every recruitment business relies on, which is IT, and you don't know where to start. Well, start by going to RecTools.io and then finish watching this podcast, because today's episode is going to be a real deep dive into kind of maximizing the balance between cost and efficiency from your tech stack, and more specifically things that everybody has, i.e. your Microsoft suite, right? So my guest today is Can. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, Nitin.
Making the journey down on a rainy, horrible Wednesday or Thursday, where we're on. School holidays, I lose track. So yeah, mate, first of all, thank you so much. Can is an experienced IT manager, worked in the recruitment space for many, many years. You've set up your own consultancy helping business owners formerly like myself, in terms of running their IT. So people hear the word tech stack and immediately start thinking CRM and automation tools and things like that. But there's obviously the layer of foundation there, right?
Yep.
So let's start by talking about kind of what is it that you guys specialize in helping businesses with, and what's that kind of customer profile look like, and then we'll move on to kind of maximizing that Microsoft suite that people kind of don't realize half the things that it can do.
All right. So a little bit about what I do, Nitin.
Yeah,
so I've, like Nitin explained, worked in recruitment sector for about 10 years prior to setting up Avensys Tech. The focus has been kind of going out there and helping SMEs, particularly in the recruitment sector, because that's where our most recent experience is from, realize the true potential of Microsoft 365 Business Premium. And kind of also look at what they're spending money on outside of just the foundational tech stack, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So your foundational tech stack is your phone system, your PC or laptop, and your emails, right? So those are your main things alongside your productivity stack, which is your Outlook, your PowerPoint, your Excel, the things that you use on a day-to-day basis. Now, what we do is we help businesses of all sizes, 1 to 250 in size, realize that there's more to Microsoft 365 than just your Word, Excel, and PowerPoint.
Yeah,
That's it. There's so much more value locked in there. And we find business owners, it doesn't have to be recruitment, any SME, utilizing products like Calendly, things like Slack, Monday.com, when there are products available within the same package that they pay for, which is £18.10 a month, that could be much better for them and integrated. So everything kind of flows smoothly, and that's important in business, to keep things talking to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're at a point where you're absolutely right. We see or hear somebody. I use Calendly, right? I've got Business Premium. Yeah, I use Calendly. It just seems really dumb, especially after we spoke about it and was like, I didn't realise there was a booking system on there. Why do you think this happens? Is probably the good place to start, right? Why do business owners like myself, historically, I was the IT manager. I was the one that was setting up people's laptops and then trying to figure out how to control them and sort of be able to keep track of what people are doing on their machines and that kind of thing. Why do you think that happens?
So in my experience, it's just simply down to the marketing, Nitin. So if you look at it, everyone's shouting about Calendly, everyone's shouting about Monday.com, right? Yeah. Less people shout about the other products like Planner, like Bookings, like Teams, and everything that's inside those products. So there is that element to it. Plus, obviously, my friend's doing this with Calendly, right? So yeah, let's go do that. Oh, yeah, it's an extra £10 a month. That's cheap, right? But what they don't realize is bookings is free.
Yeah.
Because you're already paying for your Microsoft stack. And it's available from the business basic package onwards, which is roughly about £5 a month, all the way up to the £18.10, which is the package that we recommend businesses have because it covers the whole spectrum of your IT. Everything from, your bookings down to antivirus products.
Oh, interesting. Okay, fine.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot there. So everything you need to run a business from. Your storage, your device management so that your device gets backed up, etc. You have the right policies in place on your devices so that you can't download dodgy malware or ransomware that could probably cripple your business within seconds, right?
Yeah.
You build up a business over years, right? And it takes seconds for that to get vanished away, yeah?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So one ransomware attack. And I've seen that. Like, I've been working in the industry for 10 years. Prior to that, I've been working in IT. So all around about 16 years now working in IT and SME environments. And I know, the pressures that people are up against, the fast-pacedness of business, particularly in recruitment, right? You can't have a recruiter off the phones, off their computer for hours on end, right? So I worked in a business once where they were wiped out for 3 days because of a ransomware attack, which could have easily been prevented.
No, you're right. We had an issue with our emails. I remember it vaguely being because something had happened and we'd ended up becoming blacklisted, right? And we ended up having to pay the IT company across the road from us something like £500 for them to come and do 10 minutes of work and fix it. But effectively, we had no emails for 2 days, which as a recruitment business is nuts because you think all of our CVs that we send out all went through our Outlook, right?
Yeah.
We couldn't get into our emails to go through historic ones. We didn't know what was going on. It was hard to then get in touch with any clients and say, hey. And then the email that was kind of connected to the CRM, we couldn't do outbound from there either. So all we really had the option to do was pick the phone up to people and go, listen, really sorry, but if you've emailed us, we haven't seen it. And then they all sat in a quarantine box for ages, and we still didn't see what they were until like a week later.
So this highlights an important thing, right? So a lot of us think of IT as a reactive thing, right?
Yeah.
But the idea is you need to be proactive, and there's a lot of suppliers out there, right? So I've personally hired and fired a lot of them over the years, right? I've done the beauty parades. I've seen what they can do. I've seen what they can do good. I've seen what they can do better and what they can do.
This is during your time as
This is during my time as an IT manager. Yeah. Working
within businesses.
Within the business.
Hiring businesses like what you do.
Correct. Yes, that's it. So I saw that there's a gap in the market in terms of, you have IT suppliers selling you products, right? They sell you products for a reason. They have the margins on those, and it makes it kind of attractive for them. But for the customer who's not so educated, it means, okay, these guys know what they're doing, so I'll spend an extra £3 with them. But you don't have to sometimes. And the other thing is they tend to be reactive, right? So a vast majority of IT providers, and you probably heard this, I've been on the phone to these guys for ages, right? No one's, either they've picked up and they put you through to someone else, or they said, we'll give you a call back. So that's reactive, right? We take a proactive approach at things, right? And I've been preaching this for 10, 15 years now.
Interesting, go on.
It's all about being proactive. It's like you rather ensure that things are done correctly the first time round, rather than wait till things break or go bang to fix them.
Yeah.
So, for example, that doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg to do that either, right? So with the Microsoft Business Premium package, right, for example, you can have an enterprise-grade setup for a one-man band. Yeah. Right? And it doesn't take an arm and a leg.
Which has hopes and aspirations of, you're right. Because actually, and I know there will be, and I know this from experience, and I know that from speaking to people who listen to this podcast, like there are businesses out there who are like 2 to 5 users, businesses that are still working off like Microsoft Home Office, sort of the non-business version, right? Because you get X number of licenses and you're able to do that. But that works out more expensive over time because upon renewal, well, we did this, right? I had a 2-person business to start with, and it was all in my name, in terms of the Microsoft licenses, connected to my Hotmail account, and then we would want a second machine, and it would become more and more complex. Before you know it, you're like, this is getting out of hand now. we were paying something like £35 to £50 a month. Just for having 4 machines connected to this one home office license.
Well,
and then the penny dropped, and we're like, this is so stupid. We should have just done it from the start.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, obviously, you're not going to get cheaper than the home edition. I'm going to be up straight about that.
Yeah, but you're not going to get all the additional functionality either.
You're not, and it's not just about cheap, right?
No.
So cheap is one thing, but does cheap, saving a couple of pennies here and there, does that really add up to the cost of downtime when downtime does come? Or, a recruiter struggling to do their work because the PC is slow.
It's a really good point, yeah.
And
it's a really good point, isn't it?
Here's another thing, right? You have new starters. As a growing business, you want to expand, right? And I know in recruitment, hires happen quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And they expect, like, for example, they say, oh, I've got a new starter tomorrow, right? Let's get the PC set up and ready.
Get them set up.
Yeah? You're doing it in a rush. And if the PC is not ready or their setup is not ready when they come in properly, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a bad impression. That's a bad start for your new starter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, again, coming back to that whole business premium side of things, you have something called Intune, right? Intune has something called Autopilot.
Okay.
Now, it's not AI. So what it does is basically you can have devices that are deployed to a certain image attached to a certain person. So, for example, you want your Office suite, you want your file storage, everything set up nicely in the way you want it with the background.
So you almost have a template.
A template, yeah, that's it.
This is what every new
exactly
machine looks like for
this is what
a recruitment consultant. And
exactly.
then if I hire a whatever senior manager, they get access to these files.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can have all of that, and what happens is you can either set it up prior to the guy joining, so all you got to do is log in as a person. It just installs all the software. It's zero touch. You don't do anything. Like you type your password in and that's it. Let it do its thing. Right? So having those kind of systems in place makes you more efficient, right? And that new starter process more fruitful, right? There's another benefit to it, right? In recruitment organization, and let's not kid ourselves, there's a lot of turnover of staff, right?
Indeed, yeah.
And so what happens when Joe down the road has a laptop of yours, you've decided to let him go, and you want him to bring the device back into the office. Now, if you were working on a home edition, for example, or whatever it was, that didn't have these capabilities, you're going to suddenly find out that Joe's going to be able to download everything off onto a USB stick or email everything out of his computer. You're not going to be able to lock him out.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that is a danger to your business.
Yeah.
Well, reputational damage, right? So if he could email out your clients and say something derogatory about you, for example, right? And that's coming from an address internally, right? So Intune gives you the ability to instantly wipe stuff, right? Or lock people out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which is easier, and it's all centrally managed, right? So.
And this stuff is already natively within that license.
Exactly.
Because I see. Okay. So we had this thing when we ran our business. We got up to 15 headcount, and some were working from home, some were in the office, and so on, right? And we looked at then, okay, do we now move to sort of, because we could only compare it to what we had historically or previously worked under, right? So the old Citrix server type thing. So do we set something like that up where we have a virtual desktop, everybody has the same access to the same apps, everything gets saved to cloud, and therefore if John's at home and he's registering 6 candidates, but the resourcer in the office needs to get those CVs out, they've got one central point of truth to get them because they're not quite in the CRM yet for whatever reason. Do you know what I mean? Like in our heads we were like, this could really work. But we never got around to doing it because we went down the rabbit hole of getting in touch with Citrix or whatever and going like, this is just, we can't justify the cost here. But we were already paying for business premium for every single one of those consultants, which included OneDrive, which included SharePoint, and included all sorts of different stuff that we don't even know about, like the Monday.com equivalent, because again we paid for Monday.com for our marketing calendar, and we had a marketing person and a tech person, and they both used Monday.com to kind of manage their tasks, which again just in retrospect sort of things.
Because you're taking the data out now of your environment and you're putting it into a separate system, right? There is that age-old saying, like, don't put all the eggs, your eggs in the same basket, right? So you have that, and that does make me think sometimes, right? But then the possibility of an organization like Microsoft kind of going out all at the same time is highly unlikely.
That versus Monday or Asana or
Of
the
course.
equivalent of these sort of startup,
Smaller, yeah.
yeah, kind of, they flash in the pan at times, right? Some of these can be, and Monday.com's great for those who have used it. Asana's good for those who've used it.
Yeah.
Slack's great,
Mm-hmm.
but it does beg the question, kind of, if you've got this natively within your business, why would you not start there and then maybe go, okay, I need additional functionality?
So one of the other things, and coming back to the eggs in same basket theory, right? So, we did have that Microsoft outage last year, and we say it's Microsoft, but it wasn't Microsoft. It was CrowdStrike. It was
when they did the server issue.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it was a third-party tool that was installed on all these computers that, again, was in place on all these devices because either IT departments or potentially MSPs were pushing these out to individuals, right?
Interesting, right? Okay.
So it's
and Microsoft bore the brunt of it in terms of,
because it's Microsoft that stopped working,
that's
right?
it.
But in fact, it was actually something else. But coming back to that whole piece, right? So we see on a day-to-day basis, because we manage these environments, there's different blades, they call it. So you have your Exchange, you have your Teams, and so on. So one service going down doesn't mean all the services go down as well. So there's that. So if you're worried about the whole, well, what happens if I put everything in
if
one?
it all goes out.
Correct.
Yeah, it doesn't work in that. It's not built that way.
No.
Yeah, fine.
That's correct.
So you mentioned Teams earlier,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is really important to talk about for a second, because I didn't realise until we actually moved to it.
Mm-hmm.
We were spending a lot of money with a certain provider on VoIP for the business, right? And then we were like, right, we're going to move around, we're going to move. And it just so happened that I had, I used to smoke at the time, I was in the smoking area, and got chatting to the guys from across the road, this IT business. And they went, when you look at Teams, we're on Teams. Teams is great. Teams is this, Teams is that. And I was like, well, yeah, Teams is great for internally, but or like Teams meetings, but like, I need a VoIP system. You're not listening to me. And he was yes, you can have a call package, and you can do this and you can do that. And for a control freak like me, that was great, because I was like, right, so I can then set up the IVR, the IDVR. I can set up the welcome to our business. Here's our opening hours. I can type all of that in. It does voice to text. And I was over the moon with it, because then you can choose kind of your numbers, and the setup was straightforward enough for somebody of my ability. But I always wondered, like, how come more people didn't know about that?
Okay.
Having that sort of functionality, right?
And again, it comes down to that same thing I said earlier. It's about the marketing, right?
Yeah.
There's less marketing about it compared to what other providers market about their products, right? So now I'm a big believer in Teams phone system. I've implemented it at perhaps about 2 of our clients so far. The only reason we haven't done it on others is because they've got existing phone systems and contracts.
And these are in contracts, yeah. That's
correct.
Yeah.
The thing is, right, so for an extra £13 a month, you get unlimited calls to the UK. That includes landlines and mobile phones, right? There isn't call recording, and I know in recruitment call recording is a thing, but there are plugins to that you can get call recording, right?
Yeah.
The beauty of Teams, unlike phone systems where you now suddenly sign up for cheaper prices like that, you're going to sign up for 3 or 5 years with most traditional providers. And the other thing about phone systems is they have minimum numbers. Yeah. Right? Some phone systems have a minimum number for like Cloud Call.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Teams doesn't have a minimum number.
No.
Right. So
flick them on and off as and when starters come and go, because again we know that happens in growing recruitment agencies.
That's it. And the beauty of the packages, and some people might not tell you this, but Microsoft have 2 different types of packages, right? So you have monthly packages and annual monthly packages. Obviously, you get discounts for the annual monthlies or the annual upfronts, but you don't get discounts on the monthly. But that's because you get the flexibility. Yeah. Right? So that's the key there. And with Teams phone system, you get the flexibility. You get the ultimate flexibility of what you want to do. Right? And the beauty of the Teams phone system, again, comes down to another product that was recently introduced and one that I absolutely adore. So, Copilot. AI is a big buzzword right now, right? And everyone wants it. Everyone and his dog.
Tell me about Copilot, because I'll be honest. I use Microsoft. Always have done. I've got the Mac and stuff for this sort of stuff, and for the editing side. But I use Microsoft Suite. Yeah. I've seen Copilot, as in I've seen it on my thing of like, oh, this is this thing. I am really up to kind of, I'm into AI. I like it. I enjoy the concept of it. I think it's a great thing for the industry. I'm yet to go, okay, let's have a look at this, because I'm a bit kind of apprehensive as like, well, what exactly is it? Like, you know what I mean? And then I've tried to research it, and it's all kind of different people's versions or opinions on what it is. But
yeah, and one of the things you need to understand about the whole AI beast that's in the room, or the elephant in the room, is that it's an evolving piece, right? And that elephant's growing exponentially on a daily basis, right?
Indeed.
So Teams, for example, I ran a workshop for recruiters back in December, just talking about with someone from Microsoft on board, but it was just about Copilot then. But Copilot now, today, is a different product to Copilot in December.
Amazing.
Right? So that's how fast things move. So I am going to be doing a workshop around that for recruitment guys, perhaps in April, when things perhaps have slowed down a bit.
Yeah, where they finally got to, this is the product.
Well, it'll never get to this is the product. And it's the same with Business Premium. It's evolved so much over time, right? So it might have not been the same product you had when you were running your business, right?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
And then if you're only using it for those features and those things, then okay.
So coming back to the whole Copilot
So tell me
thing,
about Copilot.
right?
What is it?
So I find with Recruiter, and I think about 3 of my clients now have it fully implemented. They find it useful for transcribing calls that they have with their candidates, or candidate interviews, client calls, transcription. And I think what I've heard is that it does one of the best transcriptions and summarizations of stuff in comparison to other tools that they've used, right? Like Auto AI and stuff that they've used in the past. And so that's been pleasant hearing. But it's not just transcribing meetings, right? It's all of the other stuff. So Copilot sits within your Microsoft 365 environment. It sees everything, right? So it can go into your documents, it can go into your emails, it can summarize things, it can bring you up to date with, for example, a conversation. Nitin and I were having a conversation perhaps in October last year, and I say, right, I'm having a catch-up with Nitin tomorrow. Can you get me prepped for this? So it'll go and look at all of the documents in my document library, all of my emails, and say, right, so maybe talk about these topics.
Here's where we are.
So far. These are the last emails.
These are things that you maybe said that you were going to do that you haven't quite done yet.
Or you may have not, because it probably doesn't know that you've done it.
But it'll say if it's not native to the platform, if it's off platform, you've done something outside of that. Of course, it doesn't know whether you've done it. But
exactly.
If it's kind of, look, you said you were going to email the terms of business.
And that's another thing, right? So, for example, right, like rather than using a search, you can tell Copilot, right, I'm going to go pitch this client. Go find me everything that we have on our document libraries about this client, and it'll bring it through.
Would it do things like, okay, so I'm in dispute with a client, and I go, okay, this has gone back and forth. We've gone back and forth lots and lots and lots. Or I've got let's create a scenario then that's on the business owner. I've got 3 members of staff, 1 has left, and between these 3 they've been dealing with this client. Long and short of it is the client is insisting that an email was once upon a time sent that said that the placement would be free, and the consultants are saying, no, we sent our terms of business. They know that's not the case. So you could talk to Copilot and say, listen, this is the scenario, go through the emails of all these 3 consultants.
It can't do that.
Oh, it can't? Okay.
So it can't, at the moment, look at other people's mailboxes.
Right, so there's no admin function. It's only for you. Right, so it's your own personal Copilot.
It's your own.
Fine, so it can say, okay, actually, I can't remember whether I sent the terms of business to this client or not, or whether they agreed to these terms of business. Can you go through and have a look? And it can go, yeah, here you go. Here's this email that you sent in October last year.
Yeah.
You sent the terms of business of our business, and the client responded to say, yeah, let's proceed. There's your evidence.
Of course, yeah.
Rather than you having to find it in your inbox.
That's correct. And another thing you can do is, for example, comparing documents. So anything that you can't... Okay, so most people use ChatGPT.
Yeah,
right?
I do, yeah.
Anything you do with ChatGPT can be done with Copilot. But the added benefit is you're not putting your documents, your personal, company property onto a platform that is used to train another tool, right? So you're putting it into Microsoft Copilot, which actually all the data resides within your own environment.
Within your ecosystem.
Correct.
Okay.
So from a data security perspective, you're less likely, like, for example, if there was a breach to Microsoft, it's again, I can't speak for Microsoft, but it's probably less likely that your data is going to get leaked out, right? So we will touch on the cybersecurity elements as well.
Yeah.
But we'll come back down to kind of that whole piece around how do you make the most bang for buck from what you spend as a recruiter? Because I know, SME recruiters and SMEs in particular are very price sensitive, particularly in this environment.
Look, everything's a subscription these days,
Yeah.
right? Everything is. And you need it all because there's an element of keeping up with the Joneses, right? If you're a solo recruiter and your clients are used to dealing with a business that's able to do video introductions, or your clients used to dealing with somebody who's able to do, transcripts of conversations and send those in a form of a summary, then you got to compete with that.
Yep.
And so then if you're kind of going out there and going, okay, so I whether I like to or not, I do need Calendly, and I need the paid version of Calendly, and I need the paid version of this, and I need the paid version of that, and I need a VoIP system, but the VoIP system has to have transcribing because my clients are asking for that, and then I need a video interviewing system as well because my clients are asking for that.
Yeah.
Before you know it, your bootstrapped boutique startup, isn't just I can run this business on 50 quid a month. It's and.
Yeah. So take Copilot for example. Sorry, ChatGPT for example.
Yeah.
You're spending £17 roughly a month on that loan product. Microsoft Copilot's roughly about £25 a month, right? And it gives you that additional functionality on top, right? That GPT won't give you. And the other thing is it also uses the same model of GPT that's on the paid version of GPT.
Right.
So it's the OI.
4.0 or?
No, the OI.
OI, okay, yeah.
The latest version.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah.
So the equivalent of the £200 a month one.
I think they said something along those lines recently.
Interesting. I was going to say, because I pay the £20 a month one, and I have access to...
so on your drop down, you should have the reasoning.
So I've got 4.0, which is the great for most conversations.
Yes.
4.0 with scheduled tasks. 0.1.
0.1, sorry, that's one.
Reasoning.
That's the one.
0.1. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's the one that you can't add at the moment. You can't add. Is it you can't add files to or something like that? But okay, yeah. Interesting. Right, so you get the most powerful version.
Correct. Because Microsoft have a partnership with.
Well, they own half of it, don't they?
They do, yeah, that's it.
So they get access to kind of a lot of it.
Yeah, they get the front seat.
That's really, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because as I said, I pay £20 a month for GPT, whereas it makes...
For an extra £5.
And then I can also get my... Interesting, okay.
And that's on a monthly basis. Sorry, not a monthly. It's a paid monthly, but annual subscription Copilot. Yeah. Unfortunately, they don't do a monthly at the moment. That's the only package that I found that they don't do a monthly commitment.
I see. Oh, yeah. Which makes sense because it's going to take a while to embed in properly. And yeah. It's not the sort of thing you can try for a month and then be like, no, that was rubbish. Right.
So coming down to, again, making that most out of your stack, it's about being inquisitive, right? It's about learning and kind of asking the questions, right? And if you can have all these products, but if you're not really utilizing them to the full benefit and understanding the processes of your company, then you can't actually make the most out of it.
Yeah.
Right? And if then you have all these different packages like Calendly or Monday.com and etc., and they don't fit together.
Yeah, because
then you're spending exactly, and then you're spending time trying to, what's it called? Patchwork quilt it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So and it ends up in lost time to kind of inefficiencies. Right. So there is that to think about. So with for example, Booking, which is a product that I said was within the Microsoft stack.
Yeah.
You can create a personal bookings page as well as a company bookings page with products and services where people can book in. For example,
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about that because again, Calendly is one that I use all the time, and I've had to set up one meeting type because I'm not paying for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But actually, with what I do, this is a great example actually because from what I do, I've got people I want to talk to about RecTools.
Yeah.
There's existing suppliers and clients that I work with like yourself. Who, we need an hour and a half because sometimes we really want to go into some stuff.
Yep.
Equally, we're booking in webinars and stuff like that. So having a tab to go, right, this is what we're booking in for. This is the webinar that they want to book in for.
Yeah.
Or a LinkedIn Live that we're doing together. Then I've got RecTalk in terms of just a half an hour chit chat with somebody who's potentially wanting to be a guest.
Yep.
And I like to get to know them first.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got RecCircle. And then I've got the other stuff that I do as well, the business coaching and stuff. Calendly for me was a bit restrictive. So booking, I can do company page, personal page.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Here's the different things that we can discuss and what you want to discuss.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
else can I chuck into that? Can I put additional data and details into
Yeah,
it?
you can have, I mean, for example, on the company one, I think you can have more details on it. On your personal one, it's more like you have a page that has a number of different options. So I have a page, for example, that has a 15-minute chat with me, a 30-minute discovery session, a dark web scan, all sorts that people can book and come in. And when it comes into my calendar, it says this was booked for this reason.
Yeah.
Right, and this is the information. So you can. It works very similar to Calendly, but for no extra cost.
Do you know what's really interesting about that? Again, using that as a former recruitment business owner, you can circulate that to clients and candidates, right?
Uh-huh.
And you're almost triaging what they want to discuss with you, because we've all had scenarios where we have a meeting with somebody who we've been courting as a client, and we finally get in with them, and they're like, yeah, come on down, or let's jump on a call, and you jump on a call, and what it's really about is actually they're looking for a job.
Right.
And they want to leave. And you've prepared in your head, I'm going to get on their PSL, I'm going to supply. He's probably hiring, he wants to use me as a recruiter. And actually, he does want to use you as a recruiter, but to find a job.
Right.
And so it almost triages these things, doesn't it? And allows you to be like,
Mm-hmm.
Can you even do things like maybe say, if I have two meeting types, right? Candidate and client.
Uh-huh.
And can I then go, okay, on Mondays, only on Monday mornings do I do candidate work. The rest of my Monday is for client work only. And therefore, if it's a candidate that clicks on booking in for candidate, they only see Monday AM available.
Well, again, you can have, within your company calendar, you can have different products, right? Or different streams. So you can, in fact, have two links, one for candidates, one for clients, or you can have a combined one that has all of it.
But can I arrange my diary in such a way that it's like half a day I only do candidate work at the Monday AM. So only
all of that.
A candidate clicks candidate meeting,
Yep.
and they only see Monday AM. They can't book in for my BD time.
100%. So
that's massive.
Yeah. So you can adjust the timings available for that calendar.
Yeah.
Right. So you have your calendar, right? It looks at your availability, obviously, because it's integrated to Outlook. So it won't display any of the times that aren't available as well.
Well, there's the other thing as well, right?
Yeah.
I can put something into my diary to be like, I'm holiday from this point to this point. I'm out of the office.
That's
and
it.
will automatically reflect in my bookings calendar.
That's it. So you don't have to go update Calendly as well.
It's so stupid that people don't know about this. I'm really annoyed with myself.
And it's our fault, right? It's the MSPs. It's the guys who are going out there and telling people, right? And I'm saying myself now because I'm in that same bandwagon of being an MSP, right?
Yeah. You feel as though it's your responsibility to educate, and you kind of think, well, why are we not educating?
Exactly, and that's why I'm doing it, right? So I've been inspired to kind of try and help businesses utilize these facilities and be more productive, while saving money at the same time. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Well, this is it. But look, let's talk elephant in the room for a second, though.
Mm-hmm.
These sorts of things cost money to get somebody else to do, right?
Yeah.
And that will always be the barrier for recruitment business owners to kind of be like, well, how much is he going to charge? Because these guys charge by the hour. They charge by. Do you know what I mean? I'll give you a perfect example. So this IT company across the road from us, we ended up going. I mentioned it cost us £500 to fix. It took them 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
They said to us, "Well, you've bought £500 worth of time from us now." And that equates to blah, blah, blah. They were like, basically, you've still got 3 hours worth of time. So if you ever need us again, you've paid for 3 hours worth of time. That was the minimum you could buy.
Right.
And I, at the time, was a bit like sort of pissed off because I was like, well, you could have just charged me for the time that you know, or actually, if you had a more suitable pricing structure to a business my size, we'd have probably retained you and gone, guys, can you just be our IT people? And it got to a point where I was sort of like, do you know what? I'm going to ring them up in a minute. And because it got 6 months down the line, we still hadn't used any of their time.
Uh-huh.
And I've got 3 hours with these guys. I'm going to get them to send one of their guys in and just stand in the corner and like sort of dance for me, because like, I'm annoyed that I've had to pay this money. And like, I've got you for 3 hours. So stand there and do something for me, like entertain me for 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, that was like kind of really off-putting. And obviously we've had a conversation off camera about how you guys have structured your pricing model, which I think is worth highlighting here, because, as I said, there will always be that kind of initial reluctance of, it's just going to cost money because this guy knows his shit. He's been in the industry for years, and that comes at a premium. So just explain to us your pricing model.
So again, the mission statement for Avensys Tech has always been this, right? Make technology affordable and accessible to everyone, right? That's been my end goal, right? So I was looking at, I was a startup 18 months ago, right? And I know a lot of my friends are startups. So, we don't have the kind of funds that bigger companies have to kind of throw away, right? But yet we need to get our IT set up right from the start. So I came up with an innovative package that kind of has everything in it for you. So we look after your device management. We look after your 365 licensing, unlimited support from on Mondays to Fridays, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We do email security and vulnerabilities and patch management and everything else that comes with it, right? Alongside Teams phone system. So all for an affordable £99 a month plus VAT on a 12-month contract, or £129.99 a month on a monthly basis, which I think none of our competitors would do. And the reason we're doing this is 2 reasons. Give that little guy a start, a good start. And we call it secure start, right? Because if you're set up right from the onset, you're not going to worry about having downtime that'll slow you down, or having for you to worry about, how do I fix this issue? And you're down fixing an issue that could have been sorted out in minutes by us. And takes hours for you to do.
And exactly. And you're putting your recruitment process on hold, or your job on hold.
Yeah,
that might be training staff, that might be running the business. You're putting all of that on hold to be
the IT guy.
Quasi IT guy for a few hours.
Exactly. And you're probably not going to get it right. You don't have the same experience that me and my team have working in that industry and kind of being at the forefront of all the new threats that are emerging, or all the stuff that needs to happen or has happened, or even keeping up to date with all the different changes that go on in the Microsoft world. So we'll come to you and we'll tell you, hey, there's this new package. Have you heard about it? Have you used it yet? And that's not going to cost you anything extra because it's part of your business premium package, right? So we'll do that for you.
Yeah, so you got the education piece that comes along with it.
Exactly. And this package pricing is only available to micro companies, so 1 to 5 person companies, because it does take us, we are investing time in this product as well,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
Because it takes hours for us to get a Microsoft tenant set up correctly. In fact, actually, about 3 days. So the lead time for this turnaround is about 2 weeks. From agreeing a contract to having your base product ready and ready to go.
Right, I see. I hear you.
Yeah. So for us, it's a big undertaking, but I think giving the startups, giving the guys who are the entrepreneurs a chance at a better start, is a great give back to the community. So this morning on the way here, I was sitting on the train and I had my kids with me, and one of their bags said impact, right? And I was saying, so what impact am I making on the industry that I work in and the wider world? And I guess this is one of the impacts.
No, I love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, look, I wish... Look, this is why I do what I do now, right? I said several times, more recently especially, that if I knew then what I know now, my business wouldn't have failed. My recruitment business wouldn't have failed. It wouldn't have struggled in the manner it did, and I wouldn't have had to let some very, very good people go. And I categorise kind of, your service and your offering as exactly that kind of thing of like, fuck man, I wish I knew that. The hours spent setting laptops up, blocking things off, fixing issues, patching issues, and doing a shit job of it, right? You know, the evenings spent trying to figure out a better way of doing this and better way of doing that. That would have been a no-brainer for me. You know, I know that when I hire a new starter, I need to get them LinkedIn Premium. I know that I need to pay for a CRM license for them. I know that arguably I need to get them a mobile phone or at least a SIM card for, you know, business calls and WhatsApp and that kind of thing. That would just be another expense that I would attribute to, okay, this is the cost of hiring someone. Yeah. It's going to cost me this per month. But at least I know what my base cost is now.
And that's another point, right? So IT costs sometimes can grow exponentially without you even knowing about it, right? Yeah. And having that, you know, kind of fixed rate that you know that's what's going to cost me to do this on a monthly basis. It is gold for a startup because they thrive on consistency, I guess.
And then not to mention then the you know the other stuff where you're going to be training and developing me and my team to use bookings instead of Calendly. You know, using what was the content manager thing that you showed me with your marketing content?
Okay. So
what was that called?
So we use Planner. Internally, and Planner is a brilliant tool. So
it just kind of competed with
Monday.com.
Right? Which we'll do a webinar on these things actually. We'll do a LinkedIn Live where you can demonstrate actually what these things are.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of those things would have been so helpful. So
that's it.
Right. Here's your chance to plug. I mean, this whole episode has basically been a big plugging session, right? But how do people reach out to you guys? What's your process? You know, do they need to book in for a Teams call? Is it book online?
Yeah, so there's a link to call us on Nitin's website. You can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. Book in a 30-minute consultation session. We also offer a free dark web scan. So a dark web scan, Nitin, is basically something that we can do. It takes about 48 to 72 hours to run. We run it against your domain name. So, for example, that will come back with any information about your company that's on the dark web. So, for example, Nitin at rectools.io could be on the dark web, and your passwords are out there as well because you probably didn't have the right antivirus or malware protection on your device. That caused you to get phishing attacks, and you filled in the details or clicked on a link, whatever it is. And now the criminals have got your passwords, but you don't know about it unless you do a dark web scan. So we do that as free for all of our clients.
Nice.
Because coming back to that whole thing about being proactive rather than
preventative, isn't it? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Let's not fix the issue once your password's been compromised.
Exactly.
Let's let you know that, listen, stop doing this.
Yeah.
Because it's causing this to happen. Yeah.
And so there's one thing. So recently, I was on a call with a potential client, and I was talking to them about how we do all these things for this price that we have. And they said, so you don't charge any additional things on that or this, or you don't tell us to buy this software or this hardware? I said no, because my interest is your interest, right? And you succeeding is me succeeding, right? And therefore, we make our margins or our profit from that service fee we charge you on a monthly basis, right? We don't need to charge you anything extra. We don't need to load you full of products and services, lock you in for 3 years, none of that, right? And I'm confident that once you experience our service, you'll stay with us month after month.
And look, we know how the recruitment world works, right? In the businesses that are succeeding will grow via headcount. That will always be the case, right? And I think an interesting point to remember actually is that growth may not look like it looked sort of historically in there's going to be, there's an explosion of employer of record. There's an explosion of people hiring offshore, and absolutely that's a very, very good thing to do for some businesses, but that comes with its inherent risks as well. And this is why it's all the more important to have a proper IT function set up where you are able to remotely disable a machine, where you are able to look at activity of your staff and what they're doing and when they're doing it and how they're doing it, so that your data and your integrity as a business isn't compromised.
Yeah, so you raise a valid point at the moment. With April around the corner and the rise in NI and stuff, a lot of businesses are probably going to be looking at overseas hiring.
Yeah.
right? That comes with its own challenges from an IT perspective as
Sure,
well
yeah,
as everything else, right? So how do you enable your data or your system to be accessed from outside of the UK securely and reliably, most importantly?
Yeah. That's it.
So again, I've had experience over the last 16 years working with outsourced staff, right? Half my team is, I wouldn't say outsourced.
Offshore.
They're offshore,
Yeah.
right? So I've gone and recruited a team of brilliant people out in Sri Lanka. There's 3 of them out there no, 4 of them on the team out there on the desk. And we've got one person in the UK other than myself. Obviously, we support about 130 recruiters at the moment in terms of recruiters.
Yeah.
About 9 companies now. But that was a good thing to do for us as well, because it meant giving back to the community out there, but also in terms of when we go out to our potential customers, we say, well, look, we're doing it successfully out there. We're using Microsoft technology to do it. It's all safe. It's all secure. And we found the best ways to work. So, for example, a lot of companies, like you mentioned, Citrix, remote desktop servers, right? Some companies will make you go down the route of having hosted solutions, right? Because they've got a data center, they've got a rack, they've got to fill those seats, right?
Yeah.
But they won't tell you about Windows 365. It's a cloud PC that can be used from a browser anywhere in the world. That's safe and secure. People can log into, and it's got your data. You can't take that data out of there, right? You can't put things into there. It's all...
You could just... Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be fired up on anything. In fact, actually, you could fire up on your mobile phone, right? So you can have a Windows PC running on your mobile phone. It's so lightweight. So those kind of solutions exist, right? They're not break the bank expensive. They're on a monthly basis.
But having an IT partner that you can pick up the phone to and say, listen, I've got this situation. We're doing more on-site stuff now, blah, blah, blah. But the consultants don't want to, they don't want to take the machines with them, or they don't want to. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to access our CRM, while from an iPad while we're out there, in the most efficient way possible. And then you could go, right, here's the solution for that.
Exactly.
If there's an additional cost, that's what this is. If there's not, and actually your kind of current setup allows for that, then it's your job to just educate them.
Exactly. Exactly that. So, for example, from that £99 package, for example, you got device management. So you can have company joined devices, right? So you can have Android phones or iOS devices, right, that are completely customized to all your apps, right, in the way you want it. Nothing else. No Instagram, no Facebook, nothing on there that can...
This comes back to that kind of, the sort of the template thing, right?
Exactly.
I flick the machine on and it's ready to go. It's got all the apps on. Again, countless hours I spent, or Tristan, my dev guy, spent setting up new machines ready for someone to start.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll get this on there. Oh yeah, they need that, and sign them onto this. Countless hours. Yeah,
and I tell my clients, look, we spend a lot of time, and my team spends a lot of time doing a lot of proactive work in the background. So you might wonder, right, so I pay this IT company £45, £35, whatever it is a month, right? So what do they actually do, right? If I don't pick up that phone and give them a ticket, right, what do these guys do, right? So we sit in the background, we look at all the vulnerabilities that come up, we make sure that your devices are running optimally. So we have systems and monitors in place to see if there are potential issues with maybe you're running out of space on your disk, maybe you're using too much, maybe your laptop isn't performing optimally. All of that information comes in the form of tickets to our desk. The team looks at those things and will periodically kind of go back to the users and say, right, we need to do something about this before it becomes a bigger issue. Also, like, antivirus things, spam filters, phishing alerts, all of those things are monitored and made sure that you don't get those, right? And therefore, you spend more time doing what you do best, which is recruiting, and we spend our time making sure that you can do that. Okay?
Pretty good. Love that. We could talk for hours on this, which is why it's good that we've got another 2 episodes that will be coming up. We'll also be doing LinkedIn live sessions, but if anyone's listening to this that wants to get on the phone and just have a conversation with Can, reach out to him on LinkedIn or via RecTools, or come via me and I'll introduce you. If there's anything in particular that you guys want more information on, or maybe a demonstration on a LinkedIn live, drop either of us a DM on LinkedIn and we will set that up for you. Can, Thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
It's
sir.
Really interesting.
Too.
That's enough from us. And enough from us. I keep saying that. That's enough from us. Right, that's all from us. We'll see you again on the next episode. New episodes drop every Wednesday and every Friday. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and doing all the cool shit that you guys do to keep us number one. We'll see you again next time. Thank you.
Bye.
That was good. That was really good.